All right. Well, hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well. I'm glad you joined us today. God, I love who's part of this call today. Our guests and a lot of suspects, usual suspects on here, and people we don't get to see very often. So thank you for joining us today. Remember, money isn't the most important thing in life, but it is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale. Crazy times. Seems like it's always crazy times with money, but anyway, we're here from Qnity, and we're glad you're joining us for our 53rd week. Part of what we hope to do for you is to take what's complicated and make it simple for a clearer path to prosperity, whatever that means to you. So we're going to welcome some new members of this amazing brain trust. Last week, we had Nathan Lawless, CFO of Floyd's from Denver. We had a great session on CFO. If you haven't participated in that, you should watch it. Who is the CFO? Are you the CFO by default? Every organization has a chief financial officer, whether you know it or not. So it sounds like Nathan's with us. Good morning, Nathan. Thanks for joining us. And thanks for last week. You were awesome. This week's guest, we have Tracee and Melody from Davanti Salons. I'm not going to tell you what state they're from. I'm going to allow you to guess in a little bit here when we take them off mute. We have an amazing brain trust. This thing is so outdated. We've had so many people added to this. We just need to create a new tile here. But anyway, we're going to have new members to the brain trust. It's been an amazing consortium of individuals that's really helped us navigate our way through financial issues and opportunities. So anyway, thanks for being part of this. We do have past recordings in the Plan for Profits portal and on YouTube. I was talking to someone today. They listened to all the episodes. It's awesome. And this is going to be a really good one as usual. No roundtable next week. Tom is on vacation. No roundtable next week. We'll be back with you guys in 2 weeks. All right. I know you're going to go crazy. Robert Kerman's without us, but we will carry on. Reminder for those of you that are eligible for the 2 to 10 project, enrollment time is now. We have, it's actually a dwindling number of spots. We took inventory, it was yesterday, and it's like, holy cow, we are getting darn near full. If you're eligible and you haven't registered yet, please go ahead and register because it really helps in a lot of different ways. Hotel links, we've been having some problems with the hotel link. Send us an email. Somebody will get a hold of the hotel with you to walk you through in case the hotel link's not working. Sorry about that. Waldorf Hotel, I'm actually going to be in Chicago this weekend, and I thought I'm going to go to the hotel for my wife and I to spend Saturday night down there. And I checked online, $800 per night. Holy cow. Our rate is $210. All right, so don't forget to register if you're eligible. We have the school roundtable coming up right after this call, 12 p.m. We announced just 2 weeks ago our money course, which is financial literacy for students. We are so excited for this. It is way overdue. We're just thrilled with how this thing is coming out and launching. You'll get to see different previews of this program as we go through. But really, why I'm bringing this up to you is one of the ways that we're going to inspire the next generation of professionals is to give them stories, stories that really suggest transformations. And so we're going to help them determine what their money story is. If you're interested in being a money story and being featured in the curriculum, which, by the way, 9,000 students have already signed up for this. It could be a nice little thing, a little feather in your cap in your recruitment efforts to be featured as a money story in the money curriculum if recruitment is important to you. Send an email to Aaron if you're interested in being involved. Only 25% of students and 20% of parents say they're prepared to deal with the financial challenges, and we are out to do something about that together. So today, hopefully you're going to have some light bulb moments. That's what we're here to do today. We did send a 9 grid to you. It's attached. feel free to create your own light bulb moments for today. All right, so I am going to stop the share, and we have Melody and Tracee. Why don't both of you come off of mute?
Hello.
Good morning.
Well, it's nice to see both of you. And I'm glad. I've been dying to get you on as guests because we get a chance to talk about change management. And, you know, those are two words that are part of our day-to-day life, but yet we don't really use that terminology. So anyway, we are going to start out with Tracee, and then we're going to extend the conversation to include Melody. And basically, Tracee, so just a quick little bit about Davanti, and then those of you in the chat, why don't you guess where Tracee's done after she describes her business, okay? Good morning, Tracee. Thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about Davanti real quick.
Okay, there ought to be a prize to see who can guess where I'm from the fastest, right? So the accent tells it all. So thank you for having me today, Tom. I'm Tracee Herring. I'm the owner of Davanti Salons. I became an owner through kind of a little bit of a crooked path. I dual careered it for a while. So very early on, many years ago, I actually did do hair for a living for just a very short period of time. And then my life took me in a different direction. And I ended up with a long and robust career in corporate learning and development. And that's what got me into the change management side of my career. And I ended up working for a lot of global 10 manufacturing companies and oil and gas as they navigated, you know, the different changes in their businesses, focusing on training and development of people. But 10 years ago, I bought my salons. The first one I've owned 10 years ago. The second one is 4 years old now. But I retired from my corporate career in 2020. So for about 10 years, I dual tracked it. I was owning these salons and still having my corporate career. And that's where Melody came into the picture. She's the muscle, our director of operations. And so she makes sure that my businesses run smoothly and as intended. So she and I are definitely partners in crime at Davanti.
So you have had global 10. Woo, that sounds intimidating to me. That's like, you know, big corporate America. And so, yeah, I totally respect your background. And Tracee, I would tap into you now and then because you are learning development pro. I mean, at a whole different scale that many of us see. So, but change management, I asked you the question, you know, we did a project together. We'll get to that in a little bit. And one of the things that came out during our work together on the project is change management, and where you are a bit of a subject matter expert. So let's talk theory a little bit here first as it goes to change management. And then, you know, just give us a quick overview. Then I will prompt you to get into the acronym. Okay.
Okay. So change management. I think when most of us, if we even stop to think about it, we think about two things. Okay. So you've got some kind of change going on in your company. You're going to implement new technology. That's the easiest one. You're going to roll out a new salon software or something to that regard, or you're going to change your processes, you know, the way you do things. And so you typically think about two things. Well, we got to tell people that we're changing, and then we got to train them. Okay. And most people stop there. We're going to tell them what we're going to do, and then we're going to train them probably one time on how to do it. And then we're going to expect the organization to realize the return on this investment that we've made in the technology or in the process or whatever. And then we're surprised on the other end when, guess what? The change doesn't happen like we thought it would. People aren't using the systems like we're expecting them to. They're not following up the processes like we expect them to. And all of that generally ties back down to how well did you do your change management along the way?
So you have a model. You're actually a certified change management. You can describe what it is in a minute here, but there's an acronym that provides a bit of a roadmap. And so let's go through that next, okay?
Okay. And this, yeah, I got the certification, went through the, couple of weeks of training and everything, but it boiled down what I took away from it. And this is why, similar to Qnity, at the end of the day, it was very simple, and it's not rocket science. You just have to take the time to think about these things. And so I'd encourage everybody to get out a pencil and a piece of paper and write down the letters ADKAR, ADKAR. And that's the acronym, is ADKAR. And so the A in ADKAR stands for awareness. So the first thing that we have to do when we're getting ready to implement a change is you have to make everybody aware that there's going to be a change, right? And sadly, even in big corporate America, that's where I saw it would stop. So the CEO or the VP or the owner would put out a video, or they would send an email and they'd say, hey, we're going to do this change, whatever it was. And then that would be it. And then the next thing you know, they'd go, okay, go do this change. But making people aware is important, but that's just the very first tiny step. The next step, and probably the biggest step in the whole process, is the D, which stands for desire. Okay. So you have to create an environment of desire with the people that are going to be implementing the change, or the people that the change is happening to, right? They have to have a desire for it. It's that famous what's in it for me, right? So creating desire. Then the third letter, the K, is for knowledge. Because now that you've told them there's going to be a change and you're creating this desire for change, you have to give them the knowledge to make the change, right? So that's where training comes in, okay? But then the A also stands for ability. And we all know that just because you've trained somebody in your official training class, no matter how good it is, taking somebody from knowing to actually doing is an important step. So you have to have trained them, but then you have to give them the opportunity to practice and build the ability to implement your change. And then the final step, which I saw all the time that companies would just completely ignore, is the reinforcement phase. So after you've implemented your change, you've trained people, you've verified that they know how to do it, they've got the desire to do it, are you going back and checking that what you have implemented is really showing up at work? And so that's the process, is ADKAR.
All right, that's awesome.
Simple but hard.
Yeah, it's really, it is a very simple and easy roadmap, and I really like it. Now, Melody, let's bring you to the conversation. Good morning, Melody.
Good morning, sir.
I have to admit, I learned something new about both of you today that I didn't realize. And by the way, I did want to compliment on both of you on your headshots. You have nice professional headshots. Too many of us have dated headshots, kind of a pet peeve of myself, including myself. Sorry. But anyway, the thing I learned about each of you today is that Tracee, I didn't realize that you were a hairstylist by training at some point. And Melody, I didn't realize that you were an esthetician. So that is it's kind of an aha I had today. So anyway, Melody, we've gotten a chance to know you through the years. You're awesome. You're a great leader. We've seen you go from 1 to 2 locations. And anyway, so a change was needed at Davanti. And everybody's waiting with bated breath. What was the change that was needed at Davanti? I'll let you go through it with us, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. So we decided, that we wanted to look at, how, if the pandemic taught us anything, it was take the time to, focus on some of the core parts of your business. And one of the main things that we wanted to take a look at, and that we ultimately partnered with you on, was our compensation, how we pay our people, and looking at that in a huge picture that it is, but that ultimately led to pricing changes and menu changes, and so that's what we've been working on.
So I'm going to prompt Tracee here a little bit. Tracee, give us, just real concise. one of the things that predicated the need for the change. I mean, one of the things that you mentioned is that you'd had the same compensation for 10 years. You wanted to take a fresh look at it, but there was something else. Why don't you just very briefly describe what you did with the pandemic that was a temporary change that needed to be dealt with?
Yes. So during the pandemic, as we all experienced, we had to shut down for 8 weeks. We came back. We were coming back at 50% capacity. I had a staff that I wanted to retain. I had invested heavily in them over the last 10 years. And in my heart and in my head, it just didn't feel right to bring them back with a limitation of 50% capacity and expect them to work for 50% pay. So what I did is I made a commitment to my organization to keep everybody whole to their pre-pandemic salaries. And so with the very clear understanding that it was temporary until we got out of this pandemic. Well, then and it became very obvious on my P&L that, keeping them whole at pre-pandemic rates, but not bringing in my revenue at pre-pandemic rates was not a sustainable model. And so I kind of took the opportunity to engage with Tom and team to say, okay, help me get myself out of this hole that I dug myself in with positive intention, but where it feels good to my team going forward. And so that's what we've done.
So you already had some very positive elements to your compensation. And I'm going to call out one is you had no service charge. And I say positive. When I say positive, that's no knock to anybody that has a service charge, whatever you call it, service charge, amenity charge, operational charge, whatever. It can be a challenging thing to communicate and educate team, and it can be a detriment to recruitment and retention. So anyway, but you did not have a service charge. In certain other projects, that was the goal, is to eliminate service charge without taking a huge financial hit. And so why don't you describe your compensation, just a quick overview, Melody.
As it stands today, or how it was?
How it was and how it changed.
Yeah. So we, like Tom said, we knew that, including a product charge in, our compensation was never really necessary for us. And that, we're a commission salon. So we knew that that was just part of our operating costs, and that came out of our side of the commission. And so we had made it pretty simple. Once they came out of our training program, they were, 40% commission. And once they got out of, that first commission level and into the next, we took it to 45. And we wanted to make sure that, because when it comes to finances and creatives, and we wanted to make sure that back then, and even moving forward, it has to be super simple to understand. And so that's why we didn't feel the need to have a product charge on their end, and kept it pretty straightforward with what those compensation commission numbers percentages were for them. And so when we were talking about making a transition and what that was going to look like for us, that was a principle that we really felt pretty strongly about and keeping. So now, even though we've scaled it a little bit differently to allow for a lower commission coming out, or to scale it up in a way that made a little bit more sense, but then to also kind of remove a cap that might have existed, because you came in at, our first, what we call designer level, you're out of training, and then you grow up, 5, 10, I mean, we've got a 20-year veteran behind the chair, but stayed at the same commission the whole time. So the way that we're doing it now kind of allows for some commission increases along the way, which feels really good for a team member to know I'm getting a bigger piece of the pie. And so yeah, it still went over really well.
So, it was during one of these roundtables, I think it was maybe the 14th, and it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, I went through a whole session on employee compensation. And there's certain principles of that I want to reinforce. And congratulations to you guys for not skipping the steps. And one important step is financial modeling. You don't want any surprises. And it's not like you want to change compensation and then say, oops, that doesn't work. Now we got to change it again. So financial modeling is huge. And we did do that. And then communication is huge. So the financial modeling, there were several iterations of that. We had to look at different periods. First, we looked at like the first quarter of this year, then we're deep in the project. Thought, well, let's update that with more current numbers. Without boring the group here, we did go ahead and do the modeling, and that was huge. Let's talk about the communication piece. That's a little bit more exciting and interesting. And we've got some good stuff to show, okay? Because one of the things that we also stress with compensation is you got to communicate it, and you have to communicate your whole package, because most people don't. Nathan talked about this last week. Many don't understand their paycheck, and they also don't understand the full extent of what your company offers. So Melody, you do have we share a love and appreciation of design, but I have to admit, you kind of wowed me a little bit on this. So let's, all right. So what do we have right here?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go for it.
Yeah. So this is, one of the things that we, discovered, especially when we go through our change management is, it, not only is it awareness, but that desire part, and then you need buy-in. So we really feel pretty strongly about, and I'll go ahead and preface this by saying, I am very much a left brain thinker. I am, if you've gone through format, I'm a number 2. I'm all about modeling and spreadsheets and things like that. But what I've learned over the years in that I'm in a creative industry, that has to be translated somehow. And it needs to be pretty, and it needs to be simple and concise. And so what we're looking at right here, this is something that I created as a recruiting tool. So this is for a potential new employee that we could send to them. We could, share it at a career fair, but that just gives an overview of what a compensation package looks like as part of a employee-based business at Davanti. So when I first imagined this and thinking about a new hire, they're kind of in, resume mode. So it's why I kind of mirrored it after what, a nice resume would look like, a resume that I would stop and look at, as an employer. And so kind of went through all of the kind of big chunks as best I could on here, and kind of outlining what that commission scale looks like. We do offer retail commission, so I outline that as well. Perks of being part of our team. We're in a beta salon, and so we really do like to make that a key point, as well as all of the other things that are great about having a team and a front desk team that helps to support you. We are a huge focus on education, so we outline all of the different things that happen right off the bat, and then the things that continue to happen as time goes by throughout your career with us. Marketing, scheduling, time off, all of that. And then down at the bottom, I think it's at the bottom and should probably be highlighted in, bright red, at the very top of the page. But under additional benefits, we do try to create a moment where we talk about the benefits of being part of a team versus being a solopreneur, right? Or maybe a booth renter or suite renter. It's pretty big in my neck of the woods. And so we like to make sure that they know the benefits of being part of an employee of our business. Yeah.
And I did want to thank Candace Gliato. She's one of our coaches, for lending some of her recruitment and retention materials too. And then we also had some other clients that served as great examples, so they know who they are. So thank you, because I know there was inspiration behind this. And, we are getting some things in the chat. Can we get a copy? Can we get a copy? We actually talked about that before the call. It's the same thing that we reinforce it 2 to 10. We do ask to refrain from providing copies of our guests. It's a sharing network, but a ton goes into this, and so we actually don't send copies. Same rule we have at 2 to 10. We don't have handouts, and we don't do it. It's all a verbal share. So anyway, thanks for the request. I hope you understand that. Part of that is to protect our guests and also to give our guests rules of engagement so we don't have all this stuff going back and forth. Let's look at the other sheet, and then we will talk about another very key element to this. So we're going to stay with you a little bit longer, Melody, because we have another sheet here, and this is really more for existing members of your team to really sell what you already do have. And if we've mentioned that once during one of these roundtables, we've mentioned it 100 times. Sell what you already have. So take us through this. Just take a quick minute.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was a key piece in our change management. So we wanted, again, just a quick, simple one pager that outlined some of the pretty substantial changes that we made to their, because as I mentioned, we did a price increase, we changed our service menu. And so we outlined that, you know, I had also mentioned that we changed a little bit of our commission scales. And so, you know, again, defining all of that into this. And I made this a customized one for every single team member. It was their headshot. That's not Kip and Fuller, but I didn't ask her permission to use her picture, so I changed it. But this is kind of what, you know, an example of one for her would have looked like. But it was really important too, because I think what we discovered during the process of our change was that there was a lot of benefits that maybe we didn't talk up as much as we could have and should have, that we did truly believe were benefits to being part of our team. And so we took this opportunity to create that, to define that, to share that. And that's how we did it. And it was really good. It was a good, it started a really good conversations, and that buy-in to these major changes that we were making with compensation, and helping them have that peace of mind, which was so important because they had been guaranteed this paycheck during the pandemic. And, you know, switching from that guarantee to back to this commission, which they'd all done before, but, you know, it was still, you know, it was shaky, it was scary. And so that piece really helped for them to see like, oh, okay, I'm going to be okay. And again, if I go back to my left brain, that model was so important so that we could verify what we were thinking, and then make sure that we were sharing the truth, right? That they were going to be, if not the same and whole, but better than they were before.
The thing that we don't have on the screen here that we didn't show, I don't have a slide of that, is that we had built into the modeling was a sheet that had everybody's history, and just with a keystroke, you could fill it in. And during a one-on-one, go through with them the what ifs, the before and after. And oh, by the way, what if you have one more client per week too? So that was a big piece to it, wasn't it, Melody? To really,
it was a huge part of, it's a huge part of the conversation. It's what really took all those, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a piece of paper with a bunch of words on it. It took that and it showed them, this is what a paycheck is going to, you know, could look like for you. This is what we're anticipating. And gosh, look, if we just did one more guest, look, if we did 5 more guests, look, if we, you know, increased our average ticket by $2, you know, what that could look like for you. And it was, when I say it was crucial, it was crucial to making them, you know, getting that buy-in, right? Making sure that they felt really good about the change and could move forward really confident.
To Tracee's point, change management is something that requires multiple different steps and processes. And we don't want to leave people with a false expectation that you can come up with like a one-page sheet and then all of a sudden everything's going to change overnight and everybody's going to be happy and roll on. So Tracee, I'm going to get to you in a moment, but I want to see what's going on in the chat here. Yes, Kate, love it too. Kate from ILOF, who you'll get to spend time with at 2 to 10. Yes, Nathan. Good morning, Ann. Amanda Hare, you'll see her at 2 to 10 also. Hello, Christine B, Christine H, Michelle S. Hi, Ronnie, how are you? Robert, good morning to you. Let's see who else we've got on here. Hello, Brenda. Thanks for joining us. Leon, good morning. Hello, Con. Hello. Who else? Darren, I'm so glad you're on here. Kathy, I'm so glad you're on here. And hi, Carrie. So, Tracee, before we get to the change management and how the change worked, and obviously, this is something relatively recent, but I think we're over the hump here for sure. There was a byproduct out of this that happened at the very beginning, and which was the price increase. One of the first things we did, we got into this project, Michelle and I looked at the pricing and we said, holy St. Hilda, we've got an opportunity here. So that ended up being like a six-figure byproduct out of this, just a little, oh, by the way. So the price increase was a very important, and that helped take away some of any angst that goes into a price or into a change like this. Any comments about that?
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, Tom, because that's not what I originally called you about. I called you and said, help me dig myself out of this hole that I got myself in, by guaranteeing this compensation. And when you started with, first of all, looking at my P&Ls, and then you wanted to see our pricing model and had us do a market analysis. And that was a big aha moment for Melody and I. And then, interestingly enough, when we took it to a couple of our leaders on our team, like Gibbon, which the stylist, we ran into some almost immediate change resistance there. Because anytime even me, you talk about going up on your prices, there's a fear factor there. But if you make decisions based out of fear, those are never the right decisions, right? You have to make decisions based off of fact. And so once we were able to pull those facts together and share those with our team, and then get our leadership team on board to understand that this is how we're actually going to help fund this move back to commission-based structure where nobody will lose any money. Because, Tom, you knew that was always my goal. I didn't want anybody to be getting paid less. I wanted them to show them they could be getting paid more, but it would still drop more to the bottom line of the business. So that price increase was significant. And do you know what? And it was a pretty significant price increase. We have not had one pushback from a guest. Our guests were just like, of course, because we hadn't had a price increase in over 3 years in our business. And I think they were sitting there scratching their heads, wondering when we were going to ask them, tell them we were going to go up. So they were like, okay, and so that part of it was very awakening, I guess, that it was us that was holding ourselves back, not the market.
You said something, we did sort of a end of project recap, and you did something, I'm trying to find my notes, something about a $450 undercharge or something like that. So well, I see both of you like
This is where it comes back to that reinforcement in the change management model, is because I think we had kind of let off the gas even previously about doing process checks if our service providers were actually charging our guests correctly, right? We were making some assumptions that everybody was following our pricing model, and we found out through this whole process that our assumptions were challenging there. For the most part, yes, but we found these pockets where we were leaving money on the table even in our current pricing model. So simplifying our pricing model, going up on our prices, making it really easy now for the guest services team and the stylist to make sure that we're charging correctly was a huge part of this project as well.
Well, you guys did a fantastic job, and you approached things with such professionalism, diligence, a lot of care went into this. Certainly both of you had the best intentions of your team in mind. At the same time, money is like oxygen on the gotta have it scale, and you have to protect your profitability. So I'm so glad you're going to come to 2 to 10 this year, and we're going to have you two be a conversation starter. I think we can go a little deeper into this subject. I might have another subject in mind for you too, But, and you'll get to meet Robert Cromings, because Robert Cromings will be at 2 to 10 this year too, right, Robert? So, all right. Do either of you, let me see if I have any, how do you account for the product charge right now? There's no product charge. There wasn't one before, there wasn't one after. Nathan, I love Nathan, the CFO is active in the chat here. Fear is a huge emotion to overcome. Data is a great way to do that. Gosh, that is such a great example. And for some reason, Nathan, there's a story that came to mind around this about data. All right, I'm gonna pull a quick audible here, because I do believe that data can really help create less angst or something. So quick audible side note, working with someone over the last couple of weeks, and there's a part of their business where there's some temporary employees that are really brought into the business by the owner. And it has a borderline need more for the owner as opposed to the business. Meanwhile, the manager of the business is trying to manage a P&L. So now we look at the P&L and we're looking at profitability that is compromised because there's employees that really don't have to do with the operating model. Very simple solution. Figure out what it is, put it below the line under net operating profit, and make it black and white instead of it just standing out in this massive payroll number. So Nathan, you gave me an opportunity to share something that at least had an impact on me last week. And so what else do we have here? Tom, all right, Steve Reese, data becomes the manager and things are no longer person. Or let me see here. Tom, this is Steve Reese. I don't know if you know who Steve Reese is. Hi, Steve. Good morning. Great for you to join us. At Data Driven, Robert Croming said, when you have data, data becomes the manager and things are no longer personal and you are no longer the bad guy. Okay, got it. Maybe it was the word there. Thank you. What else do we have here? What can you add to the timing of the rollout? Anything on that one? Oh yeah, we had a timing. Yeah. Timing was critical when we did what. So do you want to cover that one, Melody?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to, create any false perception that this was something that happened quickly. I mean, this took a minimum 6 months on our part. And the majority of that was research and analysis and roundtable conversations with our team about their thoughts on how we were doing things and what change could and should look like. And then once we really started rolling things out to the team, we were really strategic about that as well. Again, part of our change management model was that awareness and the desire. So that started first. Then we gave them enough time to digest. And I want to say that was about a month, maybe 3 weeks, where they could, sitting in a meeting in a roundtable, not everybody is processing the same way. So let them go away, come back, follow up, and then we did price increase, like I said, about a month later. And then it wasn't until a month later after that we even considered going back to our commission. So it was a 6-month process with about a 3-month, maybe 2.5-month rollout after that. So
Tracee, aware, desire, knowledge, ability, reinforce. That's the acronym.
That's right.
So thanks for bringing not only theory, you guys, but practice. I love this session and I feel like I could talk to you all day, but we all have things to do today. You do officially each get the $1 million light bulb. There you go. And you are welcome to the Brain Trust. And so anyway, let's give both of you a virtual applause. Please, guys, use the chat to properly acknowledge these two amazing women. And Texas is indeed the location of their business. So
how'd you get? Yeah.
I might have given it away at the beginning too.
All right. So any comments, you're welcome to jump in, and bravo. Love the conversation. Let's see here. Awesome. Let's see here. Clap, clap. Oh my goodness. You're getting a lot of accolades in there. All right. Sam Bricado, thank you, Sam, Brianna, Brenda. God, I feel like I want to talk to all of you people in person. Oh, we get to see many of you in person because we're going to either see you at 2 to 10, or we're also going to be at Data Driven this year. Aaron's going to be there and I'm going to be there for multiple purposes. So maybe we will see you in September. Maybe we'll see you in October. Maybe we'll see you in both months. I don't know about the rest of you, but all of a sudden my calendar just exploded. It was like 3 weeks ago and I'm like, whoa. My September, October, November, I don't even know how many trips I have, probably 8 or 9 trips. So anyway, hopefully we're going to get to see you guys. Jackie Scholl sent you a nice little shout out. Jackie's amazing. She's from Reflect here in Minneapolis. You'll get to meet her at 2 to 10. And okay. All right. So bravo. Thank you guys. Let me see what else I have for the group here. We have probably have some other updates for you. For those of you that are in the Guided Profit group, we had our first session on Monday and we went through several nuggets here. We brought life to the first module of this curriculum. We're going to be having another session in 2 weeks, 2 to 10. I already mentioned that. A reminder, it's Monday and Tuesday, October 4th and 5th with a welcome reception on Sunday night. If you are eligible and received an invite, please, registration is almost full. I am not kidding. We are pushing it. Emerging leaders, these are professionals and members of the team that are under the age of 35. We will have the emerging leader group again this year. Reminder, Qnity in action, an opportunity to work with great coaches like Carrie, Heath, and Jody, as well as Candace. We have no roundtable next week. We do have a roundtable coming up in about an hour here, hour and a half. We're going to have Jared Sanders, who is a CPA that has some amazing benchmark and other information. And as far as closing thoughts, my closing thoughts are usually to see who's on the call and to give a personal shout out. So who do we have here? Jean's on here too. We have Ann and Ashley. Hi, Ashley. I already said hi to Brianna and Brenda. Candace Gliato. Candace, again, thank you for lending some of your recruitment materials to some of our clients. Thank you. And Kathy, I'm so glad you're with us. Christine B, Christine G. Hello. Hi, Colleen and Connie. Darren, again, thank you so much for being on here. Oh, Dawn's on here. Hi, Dawn and Jackie and James. Hello, Jana and Jennifer. Joe and Karen Deanda from Colorado. I miss you guys. I miss Colorado. Doggone it. I'm going to be out there in mid-September for just like a couple days. Jean, so glad you're on here. Carrie, Kate. Hi, Kelly and Con. Laura from our team. Hi, Laura. Leah. Hello, Leon Alexander. Linda, great to see you on here. Hi, Lisa. Latilia. Good morning, Linnell, Marielle, and Megan's on here. Melody, Melissa, Michelle, Robert Cromines. Good morning, Robert. Hello, Ronnie, Sam, Sheila from Intercofier. Sheila, you should listen to the school roundtable. We got a great guest you should be listening in on. Steve Reese, thanks for joining us, Steve. Steve's a partner in crime on several different things. We're on the board of Beauty Changes Lives Together. Great guy, big contributor to the industry. Terry McKee. Hello, Terry. How are you? And Todd. Whew, that's a mouthful. Okay. All right. My closing words are, I love this quote by Lily Tomlin. And Lily Tomlin's quote, I always wanted to be somebody, but now I realize I should have been more specific. So maybe when it comes to change management, we should be more specific what the change is and perhaps provide a model that has good theory and good practice. Guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good one. Thanks again to Tracee and Melody. Bye, everybody.